So one take Argo is back. Yes, it is I. And I think I should obviously start us off that yes, this video will be about the anime of Hope's Peak Academy, or more so, the anime of Danganronpa 3, the end of Hope's Peak. Yeah, that is what this video will be about. So, if I'm going to get on the page about this so that I at least know where I start from, and obviously this is going to be a little difficult because uh, while I'm editing I'll know exactly what I'm talking about, but I don't, because I'm recording right now, the rough draft obviously. I may get lost in a lot of parts because I only watched it in one set, I didn't rewatch any of the episodes. I just watched it in one set so that I could get prepared for the next one after this one, which is, well, Danganronpa V3. And obviously, Danganronpa V3 is the newest main line in the cast. I know by the time, because this is recorded on the 30th of December, that Danganronpa S has come out, which is technically the new Danganronpa game, but it is a spin-off from what I believe. So yeah, in terms of mainline story, I believe V3 is the newest one. So yeah, let us get on with this. But yeah, so, if you know what this is, if you don't know what this is, that's perfectly fine. Because as long as you've, well, I don't think there's too much yet to play, or do, but as long as you've played all Danganronpa 1, Danganronpa 2, Ultra Despair Girls, it's not much, right? It's only like, over like 100 hours of your time. Well, it's not much, but if you have not done any of that, I'd recommend you don't watch through all of this because it'd probably be important if you played through all of those. If you have, though, and you haven't seen the anime, and if you don't plan on seeing the anime, then you can stay here and watch. But if you have, then be prepared to probably watch me fuck this up. Very much so. But yeah, I'm back in action. One take Argo. Let us begin. I probably shouldn't be wasting much of your time, but I need to get on the page on Google to see what this is. I don't need to see these characters though. I already seen all of them. Where's the episodes part of the thing? Episodes. Alright, here we go. There's a season 2. Oh wait, no. That is the, okay, that's what it is. But yeah. So how we're gonna start this is we're gonna go ahead and start from each episode that I can remember best of, and then we'll continue on from that point. So let's do this. 4 minutes in already. This is bad. Alright, so how you'd probably want to watch this show is from the future arc episode to the despair arc episode to the future arc episode to the despair arc episode. There are 2 arcs, the future arc and the despair arc, obviously. So yeah, we'll start with the future arc episode and we'll go on to the second one. So yeah. So the first episode of the future arc, Makotone, our beloved precious protagonist from the first game, has been arrested. Basically, he is arrested for Danganronpa 2, which obviously you need to play to know what he did. Basically, he took 15 captive remnants of despair, put them in a program, and basically had them come through with basically in Danganronpa 2, uh, they went through the same thing again, but a virus was put into it. That's how it happened. What was originally supposed to be planned for it was that they all were going to get along together. Their memories were going to come with them from that program, and they were going to be kind of reborn in some sorts. They're going to be reborn for what happened. Well, that's not what happened here. In fact, the mastermind of the Izuru Kamakura installed a virus to get what he needed to know. Well, I guess not really just Izuru, but Junko, but he wanted to get what he wanted to know of what was happening to him. And obviously, Izuru Kamakura is Hajime Hinata. So yeah, Hajime Hinata, Izuru Kamakura. So yeah, basically, Makoto was arrested for that, for treason, for not killing the remnants of despair that he found. But what happened event is that someone broke in, or I guess yeah, people broke in. They they put like some gas grenade in there, and they knocked them all out and started another killing game. The people that survived the tragedy and stuff. It's basically what this is. It's the 16 people that survived. We, funny enough, with this, only 3 of the people of the gang that survived in Danganronpa 1's killing game are trapped in this game too. Only 3. Yasuhiro is around, but he got locked outside of it. So, yeah, he's not there. For what I believe is the people that I can remember is that there is a teacher named Chisa. There's obviously Makoto, Aoi, and Kyoko. That's part of this now. So they're here for the second time now. So they know what's kind of happening, or they're, well aware of what's gonna happen, supposedly. There's this cool horns dude named Gozu. There's this ultimate boxer, can't remember his name. There's a guy named Kyosuke who's also around. There's this old man named Tengen who's here as well. There's a guy with a hat who's also in here, who we'll talk about more as well. And then there's 3 high school students that are here as well, who are older than both the 2 casts for Danganronpa 1 and 2. And yeah, they're here as well. And then, they did the ultimate pharmacist. There's the ultimate blacksmith, and there's the ultimate, I can't remember, but she's a chick who makes sweets. There's those people. And then there's a guy named Ryota Miturai. There's a guy like that. And then, yeah, I think that's all I can remember at least. Oh yeah, there's this one chick who basically helped make the Neo World program, or the New World program, that stuff, I believe. Yeah, that stuff. Alright, so yeah, that's basically what they found in, but obviously, basically what Monokuma sets up, again, for the 3rd, maybe the 4th time, but this time sets up the killing game. But basically what it is that they get bagels on their wrists. We've seen that thing before. Kamaru had one on her. But yeah, they have bagels, which basically have forbidden actions, and if they do this forbidden action, oh yeah, there's this one like squeaky voice buff man as well. But yeah, they have this bagel on them, which has a what is considered a forbidden action, and if they commit this forbidden action, they are poisoned and killed. And yeah, that's kind of the thing about that. That's the bagel. Obviously, it becomes important because each one of them have a deal. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. Now, what's here? I think afterwards, the first episode ends off with this whole thing. Oh yeah, the bagels put you to sleep as well. The bagels, the bagels basically will put you to sleep, and then someone will wake up, and that's considered the attacker. And the attacker goes around to kill the others, I guess. Even though it would also make sense that the attacker could not just attack really. So yeah. However, that obviously does not matter because it takes place when the first one is committed on this very first episode in the end. And that's where we get on to the despair arc. So, the person that died first was Chisa Yukizome, who was introduced and told about a lot more in the despair arc than the future arc. And basically with Chisa Yukizome, she's in a thing called the Afterlife Theater, which she watches over her life and, you know, the people, obviously. Yeah. But, yeah, with, that one, basically, this episode doesn't really have too much, but she's, introduced as a character. She's known as the ultimate, housekeeper. But, basically, she's out to teach the class 77. We know that. That's Danganronpa 2's cast. But yeah, class 77 is as we know, is the class of Remnants of Despair. So, Despair arc teaches us about the Remnants of Despair and how they came to be. And so, with this one doesn't really have much in it. From what I can remember, is that she picks up everyone. She picks up everyone in class 77. She looks for each one of them, and obviously she finds every one of them technically. It one that you should be wary. Well, two you should be wary of. Actually, no, three you should be wary of. Is Ryota Mitarai, who I've explained I think I explained in the future arc or just now. But Ryota Mitarai is the ultimate animator, and he was a part of the 77 class. But what you want to pay attention to is, aside from him, is that the Ryota Mitarai that's shown through editing is a fat one. But we should know what this person actually is. And then we have Chiaki Naname, who we meet from, who we obviously know of from Danganronpa 2, major role character. And then Hajime Hinata, major role character as well. We'll see more about Hajime Hinata. And the one thing about this one, and you haven't seen it, there's probably a character concerning you. But to me, in this show, is Nagito actually didn't make too much of an impactful appearance. I mean, he does do some impactful things in this show, but he wasn't as impactful in this show as he was in Danganronpa 2. That's basically how I feel about this one. Was not very impactful as he was in Danganronpa, well, 2. Because in Danganronpa 2 he played a major role. So yeah, with that, we'll now go on to Future Arc Episode 2. So yeah, not much is made here, but basically the game, basically one half is basically onto wanting Makoto to die. Yeah, many of these people don't really like Makoto, aside from Aoi, Kyoko, and then Gozu, the cool guy of horns, actually sides with Makoto. The one chick, Ryota, Mirai, and Tengen. Those are one half, and then the other half is the rest of the gang, you know, who don't care. Actually, no, there was also one other guy, but the forbidden action, I believe, takes place in here. The forbidden action for one of these guys was not experience violence, which obviously that didn't work, and he dies. He's the second one to die. And then we have what I also believe, kind of a little thing that breaks out between them. Kyosuke recommends that Makoto commits suicide, and then one guy supports it, which is the Ultimate Boxer. I'll talk about those two later. But yeah, but obviously they want that to happen. And then Aoi tries to stop the fight, which she does, but it also kind of comes into that save thing, where what happens here is that to prevent anything bad from happening, Kyoko grabs the fire extinguisher and kind of gets everything, you know, kind of mixed in air. No one's kind of able to see stuff. So yeah, obviously Makoto and Aoi escape along with Gozu, who's fighting for them, and also the computer robot, the computer chick. But yeah, well, now I just said it. Great, that's fun. I'll talk about it later. But yeah. So basically, what this kind of takes into kind of place is that it's split kind of between a couple of groups, but the two main groups are the groups that Makoto and Kyoko are in. That's kind of it. You'll see that they're kind of the two main protagonists of this. And Aoi is another big role, but like she's with Makoto, and Ryota, who's the other guy who I mentioned is an important part of the swell, is with Kyoko. So yeah, they're split into those groups, and yeah, they go on to their own path. Tengen comes with Kyoko and Ryota. Gozu, computer chick, goes with Makoto and Aoi. Well, by the end of this, when Kyosuke is trying to kill Makoto, obviously he runs into a problem that I'll mention, but keep a look on when I'm editing, because you know, I'm not gonna say everything, but you should probably keep a look and try to figure out what kind of like these guys' forbidden actions if you haven't seen the show, or you can just watch it on your own, you know. So yeah, let's continue. But this episode ends off with another attacking base as everyone goes to sleep, and unfortunately, they kill off Bullhorn's guy, Gozu, that quick, which annoys me, because I would have liked to seen that guy live. Gozu's cool, but yeah, that happens, you know. Why not? So yeah, let's move on to episode 2 of Despair Arc. So yeah, there's really not much that I can remember. But this one's gonna be a shorty, probably. But yeah, this one is basically her kind of like bringing the group along together and stuff. There's some cool parts in it, but really it's kind of like more so a normal episode kind of deal. It's everyone kind of getting along and stuff, you know, within that class, and them doing stuff to, you know, do stuff. It's cool. But obviously that's it, because there's really not much impactful that comes from this episode. I mean, there's Hajime and stuff, but aside from that, that's really it. So yeah, that's that episode. All I can remember is that Teru, that guy everyone knows of, he and, well, more so Hiyoko, the girl who calls me kind of like a pig's not bitch, ended up tampering with one of the food dishes, or the main course really. So everyone is on an aphrodisiac. Yeah, if you know what that means. Let's not talk much about it. Anyways, yeah, that's that one. So now let's move on to the next one. Hey, I did not realize that 93% of people like the show. And then someone called Makoto and then they messed up and killed Makoto Naegi, a she. Yes. Created by Spike Chunsoft, mystery horror. It's not really a horror show. And Chisa Yukizome, which is the teacher, which we definitely need to know about. Yeah. So this next episode is also kind of a freelance short. What happens with this one is that Makoto finds this little base area. Gozu's dead, obviously, but he finds this little base area. And we learn about their forbidden actions a bit, though we technically learned about it in the earlier episodes, obviously. But I'll just mention them right now. But Makoto's is something to do. He cannot run in halls, I believe. He cannot run in halls, or he can't run at all. He has to walk. Aoi cannot get punched or kicked. And that robot girl, she goes in a wheelchair and stuff. So she can't turn right. She has to make like a loop-de-loop of a left turn, basically. That's what hers is. So yeah, sounds fun. But yeah, he goes to try to bring the group together through a microphone telescope. Obviously everyone hears it, but what I believe happens is that Kyosuke comes and finds him, and yeah, that kind of turns into something. Also, another group I should mention of is the blacksmith. Is kind of the three older Hope's Peak Academy students. They kind of have a bit of a episode 2, where it's basically the blacksmith kind of carrying his girlfriend against the pharmacist. Just trying to get, I guess, revenge or something like that. That's basically kind of like what happens within their interactions. But there's more to explain once we get onto those points. But yeah, that's the fur episode of the future arc. So yeah, we're kind of getting through these fast, but that's kind of fun by me. You know, I don't want this to be like a 2-hour-long video of me explaining this, what I feel. But yeah, I will kind of like bring my thoughts in after we've explained these things, or maybe I'll just explain them afterwards. But yeah, or explain them like during these points. But there was like some points where I couldn't remember, and there were some points that got to me that I could remember, like Gozu dying. Fucking kill Gozu. There's also a thing, well, many that you want to pay attention to these deaths that happen. So, all right, the third one. So this one basically is kind of, if you remember in Danganronpa 2, Chapter 2's case kind of brings in a deal within that one girl who was Fuyuhiko's sister who died, and yeah, that was basically kind of the thing with that. And basically what happens there is that honestly I cannot remember, but the oh shoot, yeah, oh wait, no, I keep forgetting, but I keep overthinking, trying to remember. But basically, this girl is the ultimate sister of Fuyuhiko, and basically she's also a reserve course student that Hinata tries to get kind of cheery alongside, or at least tries to not create enemies with this girl. But things kind of turn into drastic measures when, obviously, if you know what happened, She was killed, and then eventually the chick who killed her, that Mahiro was friends with, also dies. So yeah, that's kind of the deal between those two. And obviously we know that Fuyuhiko had something to do with it. Oh, yeah. So that was basically kind of the deal with that one. And then by the ending of this episode, Izuru, or no, Hanada, goes in and is accepted for what is brought in as the Kamakura project. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Anyways, let's continue on to the next one. Did they seriously skip over the fourth one? Wow. Dude, they're skipping all of these. What the hell? Man, these guys are fun. So, yeah, with some of these episodes that are skipped, we can't really see much of it. So that's fun. Anyways, so for the fourth episode, this one is one I cannot really remember. But I believe is that the boxer comes and meets up with Kyoto and Ryota and Tengen. So what it turns to be that could be kind of screwed for them. Tengen actually reveals to be a lot stronger, and Tengen is kind of gets them to escape and fights off those people. And Kyosuke, which eventually becomes a big battle between those two. And yeah, the battle between the others kind of begins off too. And yeah, within that point, when we have that happening, what's next? So yeah, we have a battle happening between the blacksmith and the pharmacist as well. And yeah, we have Tengen and Kyosuke fighting for a bit. But that's really kind of that episode, I think. I can remember. I think that's also for the fifth one, but it's a bit more climactic. So yeah, let's continue on. So now, they also skip episode 4. But from what I remember in this one, is that there's an exam that will happen, and rather the group is now very excited to go through it. So Nagito plays his part in here, but this also kind of basically means that Nagito doesn't really have an importance too much of this show compared to Danganronpa 2. And this episode is why. Basically Nagito has his plan by bringing a bomb to school. You know, it's pretty normal. But he brings a bomb to school, and he also goes ahead to talk to the pharmacist, who obviously is older than him. But the pharmacist he meets up with asks for something in the project, and then the same girl and the blacksmith come by as well. But they're coming by, and Nagito kind of screws over them by by taking the thing that the chick wanted, and obviously he later on, when he's getting prepared, he ends up bumping into that same girl with a thing, and they end up switching bags. So she's got the bomb bag, and he's got the bag with the medicine and stuff. You know, stuff that can help versus something that can help. Anyways, but you know, bomb to school, normal. But yeah, that's kind of the deal. So Nagito kind of screws things for himself as well, as he does what he does, but he also, within this, he manages to get himself away, but not too away, because by the end of it, when Chisa comes to confront him and tries to lecture him and stuff, and her trying to convince him not to call himself a piece of trash, which obviously he's left through an interesting life, he gets suspended. So yeah, he doesn't become very important for the next few episodes, because he's suspended, so we don't see him very often. That's why I consider like him more important in Danganronpa 2 than he was in this one. But obviously, they wanna get like Nagito a bit of a break out of the way so that they can get on to what they want to talk about more. Because this technically isn't Nagito's story. Ugh. So now we get on to episode 5. So this is the same deal kind of with episode 4, but it's a bit more climactic, like I mentioned. But with this one, Tengen and Kyosuke keep fighting, and so do the others. However, with this one, like I said, this one will probably be a short one too. Their fight eventually ends, and what happens is that Tengen is killed, obviously, but he tells something to Kyosuke that's very important. He also takes out Kyosuke's right eye. That's what he does. He takes out Kyosuke's right eye. And for the other thing, the blacksmith, he finds an important door, basically, that obviously gets people's suspense in. There's an important door that's marked as a Monokuma door, but we don't see what that is till a bit later. So yeah, that's kind of the thing with that one. But yeah, as far as I can remember, that's the thing I can remember. So yeah. Also, I think there was another fight between the boxer and the robot. Yeah, well, now the robot lady. But yeah, she's a robot. You actually figure out that she's a robot within these couple of episodes. Controlled by someone interesting. So now we have episode 5. So a thing that I need to mention is that in the teacher or instructor Chisa Yukizome was also kind of suspended from her class because she was involved. Because that student was what she was supposed to look after, and yeah, that did not happen. So yeah, that's kind of the main shtick up with that. But she comes back after 4 months she was away, so you know, we don't see what happens in those 4 months, but it's probably just filler. But it probably would have just been filler, or just like, you know, seeing what they were doing. There was also a 2.5 episode OVA, but I didn't see that. But I believe it's just filler as well. But yeah, the 5th episode basically is her coming through with this. But we also, I believe, see the introduction of Junko Enoshima and Mukuro Ikusawa, and we see Ryota's ass kind of brought into here. Or no, I think that's the 6th episode. That's the 6th episode. And what we see through this one in the ending is that we see Izuru Kamakura come through. The project is completed, but there is no Hajime Hinata. However, what is shown in when the group is investigating the Kamakura project, yeah, if you didn't, I keep leaving out important details. But Chisa, Kyosuke, and the boxer are investigating stuff. And yeah, it was shown as if Hajime was expelled for something because, you know, some shtick happened. And also Hajime got in a fight, but that was with the Ultimate Boxer, so yeah, that's fun. So that's episode 5. She comes back and stuff, but the group was actually turned out to be fine during that point. So episode 6. I believe this was the episode where Makoto Naegi and the group weren't doing too much. And if I forgot to leave out this extra detail is that Kyosuke did capture Makoto, but then I got into the fight with him and Tengen, so yeah. But what was supposedly Kyoko trying to go and reason with him, Tengen decided to come through with that, so that, yeah, Kyoko comes around. With that in mind, let's get on to episode 6. So Kyoko group kind of takes hands at this one. But basically, that same hat dude is talked about quite a bit. Yeah, he talks to Kyoko about someone that he was friends with, which turns out to be her father. We all know that person because of her distaste for him. So yeah. Now, there's something interesting that you can probably point if you didn't, or if you have seen. But obviously, he kind of makes the mention of protecting her with his life. But obviously, that's kind of not what she really is. Obviously, we know her as kind of, the cold, but, the cold, very sharp detective, as we all know, who's great at her job. And, yeah. That's him. He basically mentions as if he were to marry her. Now, obviously, you can go into your heads and obviously state why that probably wouldn't be possible for her. But yeah, and the problems that it would leave. But I'm not gonna mention why. Yeah, obviously tells her to breathe. Why did I say that? But yeah, he just points out of how cold she acts. But obviously, years of being abandoned will, tell you that. Tell you that story on your own. So yeah, they kind of take the stuff from that. Also, the blacksmith died, and the pharmacist died too. Oh yeah, her name was Saiko. Wait, Psycho. Pharmacist. Psycho. Psycho pharmacist. Nice. Yeah, so that's kind of that. So that's episode 6. And in episode 6, I kind of already explained it immediately, but that is when we meet Junko Enoshima and Mikuro Ikusawa and Izuru Kamakura. That is who we meet with in that realm. So yeah, that is that group. Yeah, so that's episode 6. So episode 7. This one's interesting because we recently just recently just went through this. But episode 7 is a visit back to Ultra Despair Girls. It is Toko and Komaru kind of playing their part within this one. And that basically they go on their way to confront Monika again for whatever she's doing. However, what happens in this episode is that basically the surprise and the twist in this one is that when back in the ending of Ultra Despair Girls, we can remember Nagito talking to Monika about wanting to begin a war. Well, that wasn't going to happen anyway, basically. Turns out, she was adulted. She kind of reached adult age too fast. She just abandoned despair. She didn't care about it anymore. Which, cool, I guess. That's cool. But, yeah, that was really it. However, what she does tell that's important is, oh boy. This next sentence that she mentions is that there'll be a prophecy that awaits that one of the people that survived Junko's first killing game will die here. Will die in that building. So yeah, obviously there's only 3 people. So yeah, there's only 3 people in that building. And it can't be Yasuhiro because he's out. Can't be Toko because she's with Komaru. Can't be Byakuya because he's not there. But yeah, that's kind of the deal of that. So yeah, be aware of that. But that's all just Despair Girls, and obviously we've just recently beat that one. We beat that game. So now this next one's interesting. But Junko and Mukuro meet up with Ryota Mitarai, who we already know of, and who we already know is going to be an important role in here. But Ryota, who has been mentioned to be having very big problems with his health lately, because he is so much, like, he looks terrible. He looks terrible because he hasn't eaten. He's been focusing on his animation for so much that he hasn't eaten. He's not the fat guy. He's the super skinny kid. So yeah, that's basically him. So yeah. That's kind of him. So from that point, we take on. From that point, we go through. Within learning more about Ryota, but basically Junko and Mukuro take Ryota to have him do some stuff, which obviously he is smart enough to know that something really bad could be happening, but he's gone along with it because he's not sure, but he'll figure out later. And aside from that, Junko, Mukuro, and Izuru go have a little tampering with the student council, and what I mean by a little tampering, I mean by killing every one of the student council. But who cared about them? And yeah, that happens, and Izuru gets. That's how Izuru is kind of framed, you know. But yeah, Izuru, as we all know, is the guy who mentions about boring stuff is, you know, boring. Oh, you know, your talent is very boring, and my talent is as good as yours. You know, that's Izuru, you know. But yeah, that's kind of the deal with that. It's a pretty big, important episode because also Mikon gets captured, I believe. And yeah, and Ryota, or the fat guy, goes in to try to help Ryota and stuff, but he's even questioning about Mikon's placement. So now we go on to episode 8. So, this next one is called Who Killed Cock Robin? The group comes together, okay, I don't have to say that, but basically, they come in to solve a murder that was happening, and through later on, so I'm gonna just point out a little rant here, but this anime is really bad at trying to be interactive with the group, with the person, or with the audience. It's really bad. It's annoying that I can't, like, solve this thing out with the group because they leave in so many important things. They leave us, well, no, they leave so many important things to the characters to solve that we don't see because of the system of how it works between the groups. And we also are left off of questions that we ask and we aren't able to solve them because eventually they solve themselves immediately, which really, it's pretty annoying. I couldn't be interactive with this because when I was trying to solve things, I had no clue what was going on because of the system and the amount of hiding things that happened. There's actually a part where Kyoko checks a door, typically, compared to the door that she recently saw, and it had scratch marks on it. But they never revealed the door that when they first headed in the first episode. They never showed what that door really looked like, and stuff. They didn't show. It was like just covered by, you know, the people who were in front of it and stuff. So you couldn't see it easily, or you couldn't see what was happening. Because in the bottom of the door there was a scrape, which I did catch in that, but I didn't know if it was actually important or not because I didn't see what the other door looked like fully. So yeah, they hide off many things that is just annoying. But yeah, they come to solve a murder and Kyosuke has a fight with that robot, but I think that robot eventually meets its doom and stuff. And yeah, the prophecy is still looming of who will die out of the 3. So yeah, that's fun. But yeah, that's kind of one of my big kind of problems with this thing. It's just not very interactive, so it's annoying. They don't act like normal Danganronpa. So yeah, that's kind of that episode and stuff. I think I probably missed out on a lot of big things. Actually, yeah, I did. So with this one, the dude with the hat ends up dying because we revealed what his thing is. He can't open his left hand, but he's also really good at making trap stuff. You know, he talks about Kyoko more because why not? And then the boxer's thing is that he can't punch anyone or kick anyone. He has to use weapons. So yeah, that's what he can do. And the chick's thing, because the blacksmith died, is she can't have anyone leave out the door. Thank you, Kyoko, for figuring that out. But she can't have anyone leave the battlefield that they're in. So yeah, fun. We do not figure out though Kyoko's or Ryota's just yet. Also, Tengen's, when he died, his was answering a question with a lie, so he had to tell the truth no matter what. So yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so basically this the 8th episode is kind of Hope's Academy getting multiple problems within here. Now, I believe I missed out, but one of these episodes does reveal a couple of characters, obviously, for Danganronpa 1. But they do not make them a major role in the Despair arc. They, more so, obviously, they have a major role in Danganronpa 1. They save the Despair arc for the Danganronpa 2 class instead of Danganronpa 1's class, basically, because Danganronpa 1's class is obviously the class that was trapped in Hope's Peak. So yeah, but yeah, they reveal Kyoko a bit. They show a bit of Kyoko. They show a bit of Makoto, and yeah, that's kind of the thing with them. But within the 8th episode, Mika and Ryota disappear, so they try to look for them, but obviously that doesn't happen well with them. And, yeah, Hope's Peak is going through a mess right now because of the murders and stuff that have happened. So, yeah, that's the big deal with this one. Is that single-handedly. So, let's get on to... That's the episode, right? Yeah, that's the 8th episode. So now... believe we're going through one of the biggest. This next one is a bit of a saddie if they'll show it. But this next one is a bit of a sad boy episode, I believe. So this is titled "You Are My Reason to Die." Simply put, what happens in this episode is that someone off of the Hope's Peak Academy, a survivalist of Junko's first killing game. This is the episode where one of them dies. There's also a bit of a thing between the chick, the blacksmith. So I'll explain theirs first. But basically, because they don't matter to me, obviously. I mean, no one really matters to me in this series. They shouldn't. No one matters to me in the series. But these two especially don't matter because I have really not much clue what they truly act like. But basically, these two, the truth behind the blacksmith's death, obviously, it's revealed in episode 8, but there's a prompt of what's shown. Because she believes that the door was a secret entrance, because that's one thing I didn't mention, is that Monokuma door had a little sticker that said it was a secret entrance, but truly what it actually was is that it was revealed that they were underwater this whole time. They were under the main building, and that it was just a complete, it was like a carbon copy made, but not really a carbon copy, I should say, more like a copy of the building. And how this one goes is, basically, the blacksmith meets his death because she triggered his forbidden action, which is have him eat a sweet, I believe, or eat anything. Which, honestly, in my opinion, is probably the worst one out of this case. I would hate to have that be my forbidden action. But yeah, that's that. So yeah, he dies because of that. But obviously, that is not as important as what happens in this next one. In this episode, they obviously, so this show, what it also does, it makes jabs, a lot of jabs, at the Nagiri ship. It's a lot of jabs at it. So this one is truly a sight to behold. It's kind of believed that throughout this point, whoever will die will spark something. So, the Chosen, basically, when they're going through and when Makoto, Aoi reunite up with Kyoko and Ryota, obviously Makoto and Kyoko have a moment. And because Makoto is so distraught from the prophecy and stuff that it'll be his fault and all, she tries to snap back onto him about what his hope is. She also mentions to Ryota when Ryota asks the question of how she feels about Makoto, and obviously there's just so many jabs in this episode between those two that they really want to keep your hearts up for this next one because they're gonna want to break it here with this one. But basically, how this goes is the sleep timer kind of stops off after Kyoko and Makoto have their moment, and Kyoko keeps constantly telling Makoto to rely on the side of hope, to just keep following his path to its hope. So at this point, it could seem at moments that because of what of the possibilities of the attacker trying to hide this, but when they go to sleep and wake up, they figure out Kyoko's forbidden action. Basically, her forbidden action. This is another full-on jab. Is if Makoto Naegi is alive by the 4th night, it will trigger. So yes, they killed off Kyoko. It is definitely what I would consider probably the most depressing death, in my opinion, in the series so far. Yeah. I think the second one closest to that in terms of my favorite characters would be Nagito in Danganronpa 2. But yeah, they killed off Kyoko. It was interesting, but they killed her off. Yeah, this is gonna be an hour long. So now it's time to get on to these next few. So yeah, there's 11 episodes in the Spare arc, and there's 12 episodes in the Future arc. So we're getting close, because now the 9th one, Chiaki and Nagito comes back. Nagito comes back from the suspension. He comes back, and basically they go on to try to find Chisa, who was trying to find Mikan. But obviously problems arise, and she got captured. So you know what they do is that they had a recorded tape of the killings that took place. And basically what Junko and Mukuro did was that they tortured Chisa to get her hypnotized into the world of despair so that she would become, well, obviously to the world of despair. That's basically what happened. And that is what that's kind of the biggie of that. So when they're trying to rescue her, that's what happens to them. And the other thing that happens is that she eventually is let go, but Nagito and Chiaki find Junko and Mukuro. However, Mukuro is actually dealing with Peko now, so she's kind of into that point. Well, not into that point, but she's in the middle of something. So, basically, this creates perfect time for someone to try to stop Junko. In this case, what Nagito does is that, out of nowhere, he found a gun. So, he decided to take this chance to, tell Junko of his things and stuff. Tells Junko, obviously, that despair will never win, and something like that. So, yeah, he plans to kill Junko in close range, so I don't even think Junko would be able to dodge it, really. So, yeah. But, Izuru comes around and stops that. And instead, he grabs Nagito's gun, who jams, and he shoots Nagito. And obviously, this is where Chiaki figures out that this is Hajime Hinata, who is Izuru. So, yeah, that's kind of that one. So now, let's get on to the next one, episode 10. So, with this one, not too much, but there is, yet again, from this point on, Makoto and Kyoko obviously have more jabs in, but obviously, episode 9, Kyoko died, and now Makoto obviously has visions, namely a vision back to the trash room scene. Now that's different from Danganronpa 1's animation, which we all know of, but it's different from that. And but obviously they spark more jabs because in this one, what's hilarious is that in Danganronpa 1 there was one moment where you'd spot. I'm not gonna say it actually, because you probably will know about it. Well, it switched around this time. This time, within that, Kyoko compliments Makoto for his optimism and stuff, which is his strong suits. Obviously, there's more jabs because his cheeks light up. Obviously, we know what that is. So yeah, that's even more jabs. But he also comes to face with Kyosuke again. And, obviously they have this big thing while Makoto tries to reason with him. And it comes on to a point where Makoto is so much near death, because Makoto, hilarious enough, I feel, has been near death more than Kyoko has in the series. That Makoto figures out his forbidden action, which is why Kyosuke ends up sparing Makoto, because Kyosuke's thing, you could figure it out early, actually, but Kyosuke's forbidden action is opening a door. So, you know, interesting. That's forbidden action. So, and then it kind of comes down to this whole kind of emotional squad pot, and eventually the reveal of, well, I guess I'll say it, the reveal of ships for Danganronpa. Basically, obviously this is created by Spike Chunsoft, so it's probably confirmed. But Makoto does indeed love Kyoko when it's given to a point when Kyosuke is furious, but he snaps on to Kyosuke, and eventually it kind of becomes a symphony moment between the two, or a sympathy moment between the two. So yeah, that's kind of the deal. It's between those two, and yeah, that's the deal. But obviously we're not done yet, because this next episode is also one of the two saddest episodes in this show. Smile at despair in the name of hope. So obviously, in Danganronpa 2, Chapter 5, we had smile at hope in the name of despair. And if you knew what that meant, or if you got the feeling that something was happening, you knew something was happening in Danganronpa 2 to our good friend Nagito. And obviously, something happened to him. He killed himself. Well, not really killed himself, but he forced someone to kill him. And that's what happened in that one. But yeah. And that's why I feel like his death is one of the saddest, because I liked the guy a lot, or I liked his character a lot, and while I don't care for him because he's a video game character, he was definitely someone I wanted to see survive, because I felt like it would have been interesting to see how he would turn out. So yeah, but this one is pretty sad. So Junko, Juzo figures out what happened. Basically, what they caused to happen, what Juzo figures out is that Junko was behind this all. However, when he goes to stop Junko, he actually loses the fight because he's surrounded by multiple reserve corps students. And what Junko does to reveal, or to keep Juzo quiet, is threatening to reveal his feelings for Kyosuke. Yeah, that's right. Juzo's gay. Pretty cool though. It's pretty cool, dude. But Junko threatens to reveal his feelings for Kyosuke, and that's not even the sad part. When they're going ahead to try to rescue and stop Junko, this Class 77, what happens here is that Mikon plans something with Junko. So Mikon gets Chiaki back to meet up with Chisa, but then Chisa betrays Chiaki because she's hypnotized, or she's brainwashed, but towards despair. So she pushes Chiaki through a torture maze, of her thing, and this is where the punishments first came through, and that basically Junko forces Chiaki through a death gauntlet that it didn't even matter, and that in this, when Chiaki, even though she gets through to the goal, it was just a bait, and no matter what, Chiaki was not going to survive. Chiaki died in this episode, and what really kind of kicks the kisser for I think most people, because I didn't really cry here actually. I didn't cry at all at this part, but I was quiet for it. But Chiaki finds Izuru. Izuru obviously finds Chiaki. But Izuru finds Chiaki through her last breathing moments, and obviously she says something very touching. And so Izuru, who sees her death face to face, grabs her pin off of her Galaga pin, and that it shows us seeing Izuru crying his heart out. That's basically what that is. Izuru crying his heart out. Yeah, because that means Hajime is still in there. And so, yeah, it's a very touching moment. But obviously, this is not it, because we're going back to the future arc. The future arc, basically, this next one, it reveals of what was happening. Basically, what was actually happening behind is that the attacker was actually a suicide. Kyoko figured this out, which I wish we were able to figure out with her, but you know, we were not shown many things that could have helped us, you know, figure it out with her. But Kyoko figures out that the book, well, her book states that each time the attacker was sent out, they killed themselves. So when everyone is going to go ahead and go to sleep again within the bagels, and everyone's is revealed at this point, I believe. Actually, no, Ryota's is the only one so far that hasn't been revealed by this point. But basically, Makoto goes through an experiment to prove Kyoko's theory right, as that last moment for her. But basically, what Makoto does, let me take a drink of my water, is that Kyoko, or is that more Makoto, goes through a phase within the TVs and stuff, in that basically goes through the TVs, and the TVs turn out to be a hypnotizing material that takes you to your darkest moments. In this case, Naegi's past haunts him of the first thing, and it shows from everyone up to Kyoko, Kyoko's recent death, to kind of telling him he should have been the one to die, because, you know, plot armor. But yeah, it gets to him. However, he doesn't commit suicide through it, because a knife comes out. A knife is the murder weapon. A knife comes out, but Juzo comes around and stops Makoto, only because he cut off his arm with the thing. So he did not go to sleep. He did not get brainwashed by the TV. He simply came by to stop Makoto from killing himself, and he tells of Makoto kind of how much he hated him. He had a burning hate for him because of jealousy and doubt in himself, because he beat Junko, but Juzo didn't. That's basically why. Also, Juzo will be meeting his near death soon, when he basically goes around to go back to the room. Do you know that same Monokuma room, or the Monokuma door room? Basically, what happens in there is that there's actually power panels that turn off everything and activate the emergency stuff, which turns off the TVs. But it still turns off the TVs, so they don't go to that. And yeah, they also turn off the bagels. But before we head on to the last episode of that one, we head on to the last episode of the Despair arc. Goodbye, Hope's Peak High School. Junko's plan to spread the despair to the school is ending. But Junko will be getting away with it. Well, not really, because then Danganronpa 1 happens. But Juso and Chisa cover for Junko. They know Chisa is hypnotized and Juso would be blackmailed. But everything is going through shit. You know how like the group basically got hypnotized through that? Well, I didn't explain it, but Chiaki's death was being recorded on screen, so they were watching it because Mikam was part of that plan and led her to what was also a class trial for the group, which obviously was first used in Danganronpa 1. But yeah, that basically leaves us to kind of the hell scene where everything looking lost and stuff, which obviously it isn't lost because after Despair arc is Danganronpa 1, and yeah, within that we get but everyone is hypnotized and they forget about Chiaki's existence as well because of that, and so because of that, we have... sorry. Yeah, kind of the end. Now, Izuru, because of that moment, ended up betraying Junko to move on his own. And I guess even figure out a way to stop Junko, which obviously is Danganronpa 2. But, obviously, he left that up to whoever was stuck in there, which was Danganronpa 1's first cast. Or Danganronpa 1's cast. And, yeah. Yeah. It's also sad, I didn't catch this, because I wasn't paying attention to it. But, Izuru actually leaves flowers on Chiaki's desk, which is cool. Which is super sad. But, yeah. Hajime's still in there, and he's calling out to that. So, yeah. I could be wrong, but that's what I've been told. Or what I've read so far. And we also get a sneak peek at, obviously, Danganronpa 1's cast again, and shows Neigi. And, Junko tests something, because Neigi was known as the ultimate lucky student. And, yeah, obviously, Junko should have known, deep down, that Neigi was going to be a major problem. So, yeah, that is the Despair arc. But it is not over, because we then have the last episode of the Future arc. It is always darkest, so this one is kind of what looks to be a grim-looking ending for the group, right? Well, not really, but there's a meaning to this episode. This episode is like Chapter 5 of Danganronpa 1. It sets up for the grand finale. And like Danganronpa 1 with Chapter 6, where Chapter 6 was huge, because it was set up for this big thing. Danganronpa 3 sets up this episode for what is shown to be the Hope arc. Yeah. But basically Danganronpa 12 reveals who the mastermind is, which is Tengen. Tengen was the mastermind. He had this all planned. And Ryota's forbidden action is revealed when the bagels taken off. His forbidden action was using his talent. It was practically useless because his talent was not available to him. Otherwise, death. So yeah. I'm still drinking water, but yeah. That's the whole deal with that one. The gang is looking kind of screwed because Ryota, while he has a plan, it's not a very good one. It sounds good on paper, but it's not very good. But basically, what his plan is to use hope to the entire world to eliminate despair, but it's basically using by hypnotizing people. Yeah. It gets to a lot of people, but it doesn't get to Makoto. And, basically, it's looking grim for them, though, because he's showing it to everyone, and they're keeping all of them hostage. basically, so that he can go and get this plan to work. Look, hope is by God's mile better than despair, but we shouldn't be trying this. So yeah, that's kind of the thing. But sorry for that pause, by the way. I was thinking more. But yeah, that's kind of the deal with that. So then, what comes next out of this is Danganronpa's no. God damn it, I keep saying that. No. Okay. What comes next? Remember this one take. What comes next is it looking grim for the group, but Aoi snaps out because Ryota showed the video to her too, but she snaps out and she's injured and stuff, and when it's looking kind of dangerous for everyone, they're actually kind of saved a bit because Byakuya and Yasuhiro come to the rescue. Byakuya's group also comes by to help them, and so yeah, that's kind of the thing. But it ends off like that. But there is then there is the Hope arc, which is next. So yes, the Hope arc. Well, it's not the episode though. But yeah. So the Hope arc basically is the Hope arc. It won't show me it, which is unfortunate. But the Hope arc is it is the final episode of it, and basically this episode is really cool, but it's also filled, but it also, in my opinion, kind of defeats a lot of purposes with Danganronpa 2. So, if we remember in Danganronpa 2, the or the New World program was made so that Makoto and the group, and Kyoko and Byakuya, or so, can put the remnants of despair through a simulation. We obviously know what happens in Danganronpa 2. But what was mentioned was that everyone who died in the simulation would be in a coma. Their brains would stop functioning in the real world. Well, it's not exactly what happened. Instead, everyone survived. Danganronpa 2 didn't kill off any of them. Danganronpa 2 didn't kill off any of them. So yeah, you know Nagito? His death was completely ruined because of that. Nagito is the first character that pops up when Naegi is about to be escorted, or is planned to be escorted, so that they can keep the ultimate hope alive. But Nagito pops up, helping them out. But obviously, Nagito should have been not there, because he died in the simulation. And so, yeah. But it's not all of them, right? No, it's all of them. Peko is shown alive. Nekomaru, Nidai, Mikan, Hiyoko, Teru, the fat guy, or fat posture, who even imitates Kyosuke, who Kyosuke has a comment about that. And yeah, Danganronpa 2's cast is fully alive. Now, it wouldn't make now. Obviously, the only ones that make sense is Hajime, Hinata, Sonia Nevermind, Fuyuhiko Kazuichi Soda, and Akane Oware. Those are the only ones that make sense because those were the 5 that technically survived the Danganronpa 2. But they just kept them alive anyways. So yeah, Danganronpa 2 is basically made almost irrelevant because of that. It's only really now made for Hajime Hinata. That's basically it. The only person that didn't come back was Chiaki, but that was because she was killed in the real world. So yeah, they did that. It's disappointing. Now, the Danganronpa 2 cast confronts Ryota, who obviously is the only one in that group who didn't take place in it, who didn't take a part of it because he wasn't part of Despair, or he wasn't in Despair, and he was in hiding near that point. He was picked up, more so, he was picked up by Future Foundation. So yeah. But, that was that. They confront Ryota, they tell him of how useful he can be and what he could truly be to them. And that, you know, Ryota stops what could have happened. And so yeah, it's looking like that. And after that, everything is kind of made to peace again. Basically, Danganronpa 2 kind of meets on part. But yeah, for this next scene, I'll probably put in editing, which I would think I would like y'all to see because it has something actually really important, and it also puts in one of the best parts of the show. Here you go, I guess. I don't know like how much I'm gonna stop, so like, or how much time I can actually take from this one. So but yeah, I'll probably make it louder on the audio for that one than me. So yeah. Nagito meets his idol, Neigi. The one person he definitely wanted to meet. However, that's not the important thing. Mikan wanted to talk to Neigi about something, but she was pushed aside by Nagito. But what was that important something? Who knows? Well, I know, and I know people who've seen the anime know. I keep saying that, it's becoming a habit now, you know. But yeah. So yeah, it's kind of looking good now for everyone. Right? Well, yeah. Basically, the Danganronpa 2 group is leaving again to return back to their place. And Chiaki's seen again, you know, within her moments and stuff. But obviously Chiaki is dead. She is long gone. It is it for her. And then we get a scene with Yasuhiro, Aoi, and Byakuya. Makoto eventually kind of like goes through on his own things. Obviously, we know the reason for. However, there is much more to this. There is eventually a cutscene with Nagito, Mahiro, and Mikan. Mikan and Mahiro talk about a medicine that Mikan found and used. This is called Antagonist, but I don't know why it's called Antagonist. And Nagito eventually takes hold of it because he eventually probably figured out what that was used for. So yeah, you know how Neigi basically is the only one here who seems to have not gotten a happy ending? Well, take a look at this scene. Enjoy.
That ought to do it. Thirsty, Toko? Here. Yeah, thank you. Some for you too, Hina? Aw, you're so sweet.
Excuse me, Mr. Principal. They're waiting for you.
Thank you. I'll be right there.
So, yeah, that, scene imply that Kyoko never died. She was revived. So yeah, with that in mind, both of them are alive, and yeah, I think it's safe to say that ship is sailing high. Thank you, Spike Chinsoft. You confirmed one ship in your life. I think, at least. I think this ship is confirmed, but yeah, I think it's confirmed. Yeah, I could be wrong, but it definitely looks to be confirmed from both sides. And yeah, aside from that scene, what's also cool about it is that Makoto will now be the principal of Hope's Peak once it is fixed up, well, probably not rebranded, but refurbished, and, probably better for the audience now. With Junko out of the way, and with him as the ultimate hope, things hopefully may go back to, a peaceful setting. And who knows? I wonder what next will happen, because afterwards we don't really know what happens there. But the last scene, Mikoto and Kyoko, definitely interesting scene. Um so afterwards, I there is now, with Danganronpa 3 out of the way, there is only one more. There is only one more episode uh left. And that would be, well, technically not one more episode left, but there is, unless if I did say episode, I'm sorry. There is one more thing left, and that is Danganronpa V3. Danganronpa V3. Killing Harmony. Yeah. Um, you all can't see it, but I have it like on Google looked up. I'm not gonna look it up yet, because this definitely will be a spoiler, right? Right? Anyways, but yeah. So overall, I think Danganronpa 3 was actually not that bad. I think what it definitely does do is probably ruin a bit of Danganronpa 2 for me. Actually, kind of a lot. I think it's still somewhere in that same category of decent, along with Danganronpa 1 and 2. Well, probably 1. And yeah, I still think Ultra Despair Girls is the best right now that I've played. And yeah, I thought that was pretty decent. And while there's so many problems, well, more so, there was many problems. There was a few major problems. Plot holes, a lot of them now created. That's it. That's Danganronpa 3. But it is not the end for this, because I now have to speak my confessions. So, on Sunday of this, no, on on Monday of this week, or of last week, when I was playing it, I started a playthrough of Danganronpa V3, Killing Harmony. And now, I am here at Chapter 4, starting the investigation. So yeah, I have played through Danganronpa V3. And my reason for that is Danganronpa S. And I bought Danganronpa S on the Switch. So now, and I watched Danganronpa 3, so I got impatient, and I playing through Danganronpa V3, because I'd rather want to play through that and see what is in Danganronpa S, so that I can go through Danganronpa S without probably having too much of a concern towards some characters. Obviously, only Danganronpa V3, which would be the concern. So yeah, I played the Danganronpa V3. I'm still playing it through. And I can definitely prove that, because I know this character that I'm going to show on the display Here we go. Oh, wrong thing. Oops. Oopsie doopsie. Oopsie. Fucking doopsie. Yeah, that. Oopsie doopsie again. Dang it. I keep doing stuff. But this is it. I don't know if you can hear the piano, but, yeah, I know who this guy is. And, yeah, if you played the Danganronpa V3, you should know who he is as well. I'll not give his name, his talent, I'll just leave him there. But yeah, I think with that, thank y'all so much for coming by on this lovely day of the bunker. I'll get this edited by the time. And yeah, see you whenever. Peace, peeps.